Lee Duffy, the rise and fall of Middlesbrough's king of crime, the Iron Man story. In the dark corners of Middlesbrough, where the threads of poverty and crime intertwine, Lee Duffy was born. A name that would later be etched into the annals of organized crime as a symbol of brutal force and excessive violence. Duffy was no ordinary criminal. He was an unstoppable force. Duffy possessed an overwhelming presence and a unique aura. No one dared to challenge him directly, as he was known for his extreme courage and his ability to endure the most difficult situations. These qualities made him a dominant figure in his world, and he built a strong reputation that could not be ignored. Despite his harsh reputation, Duffy had another side. Some considered him to be fiercely loyal to those he trusted, and he was rumored to be generous towards his inner circle. His life was filled with exciting events and continuous challenges as he faced and survived many conflicts repeatedly. Lee Duffy's story held many lessons about resilience and inner strength. He lived a life that was never ordinary, leaving behind a legacy of stories that are still told in Middlesbrough today. A night of vengeance. The murder that shook Middlesbrough. Among the many crimes Duffy committed or was involved in, the 1989 murder of Brian Mackenzie remains one of the most prominent and bloodiest events that reflected Duffy's boundless brutality. This incident was the culmination of long-standing disputes between Duffy and Mackenzie, who was seen as Duffy's enemy in the drug world. On that fateful night, after a period of mutual threats, Duffy committed a horrifying act. Duffy tracked Mackenzie to an apartment in Middlesbrough, where a violent confrontation ensued. This was no ordinary brawl. It was a brutal execution. Duffy savagely attacked Mackenzie with indescribable brutality, using a knife and delivering several fatal stabs. He didn't stop there, but continued to assault him even after he lost consciousness, a scene that reflected the extent of his cruelty and impulsiveness. The crime was so horrific that it shocked the local community and intensified people's fear of Lee Duffy. Duffy was arrested shortly after and charged with murder. Despite overwhelming evidence, which included eyewitness testimonies, Duffy managed to escape a conviction for premeditated murder, instead being convicted of manslaughter after claiming he acted in self-defense under the influence of alcohol and drugs. This verdict was met with shock and anger by the victim's family and many in the city, which further fueled the belief that Duffy possessed power and influence that enabled him to manipulate the system. This incident was just one of the dark chapters in Duffy's crime-ridden life. He continued his violent career, but his grip began to loosen little by little as his enemies increased and the police closed in on him. Ultimately, in August 1991, Lee Duffy's turbulent life ended in another bloody brawl, where he was fatally stabbed, thereby ending an era of violence and control over Middlesbrough's Underworld. Gemini can make mistakes, so double J.